Hello and welcome to another video for Minus Touch Toys, Games and Collectibles. And today, well, we're looking at something that is a little bit different. We're looking at something that is very, very old, very rare, and very, very collectible. We are looking at the 1960s release. Now, I'm not quite sure who the manufacturer of these key rings were, but they are based on the Gerry Andersons Thunderbirds television series. Now, there was 6 in all of these key rings. Now, since we've put these up on the website, we have actually sold the other 3, so we only actually have these 3 available. But they're all based on the 1960s Gerry Anderson television series Thunderbirds. Now, obviously, as you know, Thunderbirds was created by Gerry and Sylvia Anderson, and it was filmed by their production company AP Films, or APF, and it was distributed by ITC Entertainment. It was filmed between 1964 and 1966 using a form of electronic marionette puppetry, which they dubbed as super marination. And it was combined with scale models, special effects sequences, and all sorts of things to make the series absolutely incredible. Then there was 2 series, totaling 32 50-minute episodes, I think they were. And the production ended with the 6th episode of the 2nd series after Lou Grade, who was the financial backer, failed in his efforts to sell the program to a US network television. So in order to continue to market the Anderson programs in the US, Lou Grade said it was easier to make a new program than try and sell another one. So basically Thunderbirds was dropped and then Captain Scarlet was born. So Thunderbirds was the what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think the 5th series in the Andersons. Might be the 6th series actually in the Andersons super marionette or marionette puppetry television program. So the first one was Four Feather Falls. Then you had Torchy the Battery Boy, Supercar, Fireball XL5, Stingray, and then Thunderbirds. Now, Thunderbirds concerned the exploits of International Rescue, which was a life-saving organisation with a secret base on an island in the Pacific Ocean, which was owned by billionaire Jeff Tracy. Now, International Rescue operates a fleet of technically advanced rescue vehicles headed by their 5 craft, which was called the Thunderbird machines. And the main brains behind, or the brains, let's say, behind the organisation was International Rescue ex-astronaut Jeff Tracy, and it was his 5 sons who would pilot the Thunderbird machines. And the Thunderbirds machines were built by the amazing, fantastic Brains, and Brains is the engineer of International Rescue and is based on Tracy Island. So the series aired from September 1965 on the ITV networks, and since then it has aired in at least 66 countries. And obviously, besides the series, there was also 2 feature-length films which followed, which was Thunderbirds I Go and Thunderbird 6. And these were periodically repeated as it was adapted as those films were adapted for television. Okay, let's not digress any further, because I want to have a look at these 3 amazing key rings from the 1960s, and I just think they're absolutely fabulous. Let's start with Brains. So there, I just don't want to get too in. I don't want to blur it out too much. So there we have a look. So there we see Brains, and Brains is holding a model of Thunderbird 1. Now, he is a rubber figure, and he does have a movable head. Don't know if anything else moved on him. No, okay, so it's just his head, but his head is movable, and you can turn his, as you can see, you can turn his head round. Other than that, he is bendy, so you can bend him. His legs bend from you know, and the feet bend. Yeah, it's about it as far as movement's concerned. And of course, you've got the key ring, and you can tell it's an old one by the size of the actual ring, and the type of ring, how it was back in the day. So there was none of the safety clips on, or the safety measures on the end in the 60s. It was just round wire, basically. So there we are, brains, and he's wearing his glasses as he is seen to be wearing in the TV series. Now let's get a little bit of measurements of brains. So brains measures 6 centimeters in height in total, if you can just see that. And if you measure across his body, you're looking at 2 centimeters at about the widest point, maybe a tad over, maybe 2.5 centimeters. And depth wise, if we measure from his model of Thunderbird 1 to his back, you're looking at about 1.5 centimeters. The chain is 3 centimeters long, and then you've got the key ring, which is a big key ring. It's 4 centimeters in diameter. So that is the size of brains, and I don't know if you can see him, but he does actually look very much like brains from the TV series. They have done a pretty good job. If you can just see him for his glasses there, they've done a pretty good job in the features on this particular keyring for a cheap keyring that was a quick giveaway or quick sellable item back in the 1960s. They've done a pretty good job in getting the features right, which you don't see very often on keyrings. Even in this day and age, you don't see very often. Okay, so that is brains. And next up, we have Alan Tracy. Now, Alan Tracy is the pilot of Thunderbird 3. And there you can see he's there in all of his International Rescue uniform, and he is holding his blaster. And now, again, with Alan Tracy, his head rotates, so you can turn his head from side to side. But that, again, that's about all the movement is. But again, he is soft rubber. You can move his hand, you can move his weapon, and you can move his feet from side to side, because they're only very soft rubber and easily movable. Now, unlike brains, this one is not very good features of Alan Tracy. It doesn't really look anything like him. You only know it's Alan because of the colour of his hair and the uniform that he's wearing. Otherwise, you wouldn't know it was who it was, really. Same size chain, so 3 centimeter chain, a 4 centimeter ring, same size as brains. But Alan is a little bit smaller than brains because he's crouching. So he is 5.5 centimeters in height. And width-wise, we are looking at 3 centimeters, a bit wider. And depth-wise, he's also going to be a bit deeper, so he's 2.5 centimeters deep. But again, a nice little key ring. It's a shame the features are not better, and it doesn't look a little bit more like Alan Tracy, but otherwise, it's still a very, very nice key ring. And then we're on to none other than Scott Tracy, who, as you know, was the pilot of Thunderbird 1 and was second in command of International Rescue. Now, again, Scott Tracy is not overly good. It doesn't really look an awful lot like him. Again, it's his uniform that gives him away, being Scott Tracy. Obviously, he's holding his blaster, and again, he's quite soft. His head does move again. You can move his body, his legs. The rest of him is pretty much solid, so you can't really move anything else other than his head and his legs and his feet, maybe. Same size keyring and chain again, so 3 centimeters and 4 centimeters respectively. Now, he again is a little bit smaller because he is crouching down. Oh no, he's 6 centimeters if I measure from the bottom of his foot to the top of his head, you can see there is 6 centimeters. Let me just zoom out a fraction so we can. And if I measure in full length of him, he's actually also 5 centimeters from the back of his foot to the end tip of his blaster. And if we measure width-wise, again, we're looking at about 2.5 centimeters. So that gives you an idea of the size. Again, a nice key ring to have, and it's a shame the features are not quite as good as they are on Brains. Yeah, and there's his weapons actually come away there. That should be I don't think it is attached. It doesn't look like it's attached. You can see that it's all blue underneath there, so it hasn't been attached, but it does move up and down, so you can adjust that. Okay, that is Scott Tracy. So we've got Scott here, we've got Alan, and we've got Brains. So the burning question you're going to ask me is, how well did these keyrings do back in the day? Well, surprise, surprise, you know, they done quite well from what we can gather. Now, we don't know a great deal about these keyrings, unfortunately, because we don't know who manufactured them. We're assuming that they were manufactured somewhere in Europe and made their way over to the UK. But again, I can't really find much information about these keyrings on the internet anywhere. So if maybe somebody out there does know who manufactured these keyrings, then just drop us a message, let us know, and we can do a little bit more research on them. But so, yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember seeing these keyrings in the shops back in the late 60s, early 70s. Vaguely, very vaguely. I was very, very young at the time, but I do vaguely remember seeing these. It's the thing that stuck in my mind was the size of the actual keyring itself. I mean, the ring itself being 4 centimeters, it was huge. So that's the thing that stuck in my mind about these, rather than the actual figurines themselves. So I could be thinking about something differently, but my memory seems to think it was these Thunderbird keyrings. But as I say, I don't know how well they've done, and I don't know the quantities or the numbers that were produced. I'm assuming that they were produced in mass quantities, and they were sold throughout the UK, maybe through Europe as well. Okay, let's move forward let's go forward, say 65 years, 60, well, say 60 years, because Thunderbird was produced in 64 to 66. So let's go forward 60 years to 2025, which is where we are today. We're going to say 60 years, it's bang in the middle. Do these keyrings come up very often on the platforms nowadays? And the answer to that is no, they don't. I think I did look back on the platforms. I did see a few of them popping up over the last few years, but not very many. There was, I think the most common one that popped up was actually Lady Penelope, and we've already actually sold Lady Penelope. We've also sold Parker, and the other one was Jeff Tracy. So they've all been sold. Those 3 have been sold, and we've only left with these 3. But I think the most common one that popped up on the internet when I was looking at it was actually Lady Penelope. So I don't think I saw another Brains. I did see one of Scott. I'm not sure if I saw Alan there. I can't remember, to be perfectly honest with you. But the answer to the main question is no, they don't appear very often on the platforms. And when they do, they are probably snapped up very quickly. And they'll probably be in various different states of condition as well. So not very often, different conditions, and you probably, if you waited long enough, you'll probably find one or one of each of these going up on the platforms at some point or other. But you may be in for a long wait, and do expect to pay high prices. As the more in demand, then the less they are, usually the higher the prices on the platforms. However, you don't need to go for that rigmarole. You can come straight to us at Margaret's Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles, where what you see in front of you is exactly the items that you will receive should you wish to buy them, because we don't believe in stock photographs and stock descriptions. If we have different quality, different conditions of different items, they are different product numbers. So what you actually look at on the website is actually what you will receive. And all three of these keyrings, as of now, are available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight to the website, where you'll be able to find these and many, many other vintage Gerry Anderson items. And many other vintage toys, games and collectibles come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I am absolutely positive this is something that you're not going to want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new items which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there is something in particular you are looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky that you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories. Well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know, the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful set of vintage 1960s Thunderbirds keyrings with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next video. So bye for now.